Good morning, audience. This is your girl, Pamela D, getting on here to share some exciting information about my next A word, and it will be authenticity today. So I have a question for you. How do you see yourself, and how do you think God see you? Glad you asked. I have shared this information with my team. I have a fabulous team that I supervise, and sometimes I create space for them to come in the office and just really download whatever is going on. I am an encourager. I'm an uplifter. I like to pour into and deposit into people, right? So I create space for that. So we talked about authenticity. What is that? It looks different for me. It's going to look different for you. It may look different for them. But at the end of the day, it's about being genuine, being real, being true to your own character and values, not being fake, and not performing before others. Simple. And as you know, I like to do a deeper dive into anything that comes to mind. I'm going to do a deeper dive so I can learn more, so I can educate myself more, so I can be ready to give an answer if someone comes before me about any given thing. So what I came across is how to recognize inauthentic behaviors within a person. Oftentimes their action don't line up with their words. They are people pleasers. They're contradictive. And it depends on who they're with. These are common behaviors that we see in our families, among our peers, at our job. We see it in the community with constituents. We see it all the time. But patterns do matter, and that's what I've learned. So let me dive into some things that I came up with. When we talk about pattern, you want to make sure that true consistency overrules charm. I don't care how you may have a gift of charm. You may be so charming that people can't see you and your fakeness. I don't know, right? But I prefer true consistency over that. Authentic people are consistent across situations. They're not shifting. They have situations, but they're not shifting. Oh, I'm going to handle you this way because I got a situation. They're consistent with individuals that they interact with across situations. Now, what I've learned, though, over the years and still learning when I'm dealing with people that's inauthentic in their behavior is setting clear boundaries early on and having no need for confrontation. Because you don't have to go tell somebody, I'm going to tell them what's on my mind. I have to get them all the way straight. They're going to know when it comes to me. You don't have to do none of that. Here are some 3 things that I came up with that works. If it worked for me, it might work for you. I promise you it works. Share less about you. Decline unnecessary engagement because they're not authentic anyway. And keep interactions polite and brief. That means you don't have to be mean-spirited. I do it all the time. When I know a person's spirit is off and they're not authentic, and they come up to me like, hey, girl, I'm like, hey. But in the same token, I know that you is so far from being authentic. But you see how I was polite with it and very brief, and I scale on. So choose depth over frequency. What do that mean, Pam? Inauthentic people often rely on the quality of connections rather than meaningful connections, which means I want to connect with you because you got 2.5K followers. I want to connect with you because your network is big. You don't want to connect with me because I'm me. So that's what that means. You want to make sure you avoid that. Also, align your environment with your values. Anything that moves in my environment has to line up with my beliefs and my values. If not, I'm going to have to dismiss you. I'd rather spend time in spaces that rewards me and that can give me substance, that I can feast off of, that I can take and learn from. That's what I prefer. It works. It helps. So I'm operating in a peaceful environment. So when I hear everybody else's distress, I just be like, oh, wait, we just need to pray. Because they have not arrived. But I have arrived where my environment, because I declare and decree that it has to be a space that exhibits my values. Okay? Now, stay grounded in your own authenticity. Do not start shifting because your environment is shifting, people shifting. So I'm going to shift. You act like this, I'm going to act like this back. I live by that. I live by that. If you treat me a certain way, I'm going to give you your own medicine back. Maybe you'll stop treating people that way. Maybe you'll recognize what you're doing. But here's the thing. I have to stay grounded in my own authenticity. The more I act as a person who aligns with my value, it will be easy to recognize inauthentic people and their behaviors because they don't line up with what you have, your values, your character. Also, practice patience without closeness. Is that a possible thing to do? It's possible. Let me tell you why. You don't have to give inauthentic people access to your inner world. You're on the outside, that's where you stay because you're showing up the way you really are, and I don't have time for that. Not the way, I don't have time for it because the way I'm shifting, right? So you don't need that inner connection with me. You're going to stay at a distance. I had a friend of mine that used to say, and they told me this while I was in high school, my college years, even as a wife and parent, they were like, girl, let down the walls. I wish I would let down these walls that I have up. It safeguards my emotions. It safeguards me from fake folks, inconsistent folks, inauthentic behaviors. I'm not letting that wall down. Now, I would let certain people in my circle because it's comforting. They genuine. They love me. We've been through the fire and the floods. They got me, right? So bottom line is, you do not, that's what I want to say. You do not have to avoid inauthentic people. Just bring clarity, enforce boundaries, choose consistency over behaviors. Remember, you do not need to explain your truth to pretenders. Their inconsistency is not your responsibility to fix. You will not lose anything by walking away for what is not real. Not everyone is meant to have access to you. So choose clarity over confusion, honesty over performance. Remember the scripture, Matthew 23:12. It says, and whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So remember, continue to be your authentic self. Be blessed.